Do not spend your final years punishing yourself. Before another season passes, I need you to hear something you may have avoided for years. You are not carrying regret because you are weak. You are carrying it because some part of you still believes pain is the price you must pay for what happened. Maybe you made a choice you cannot undo. Maybe you hurt someone you loved. Maybe you stayed too long, left too soon, trusted the wrong person, ignored a warning, or failed to say the words that mattered while there was still time. And now you punish yourself in quiet ways. You replay the moment. You refuse joy. You hold your own heart outside the circle of mercy. But here is the truth that may be difficult to accept. Punishing yourself does not repair the past. It only gives the past another victim. Before this story ends, you will understand the difference between accountability and lifelong self-punishment. You will see why guilt can guide you, but shame can imprison you. And you will learn how to honor what happened without spending your final years kneeling before a mistake that has already taken enough from you. The Bulvind. No one can see. Perhaps your days look ordinary from the outside. You make breakfast. You fold laundry. You answer when someone calls. You smile when a neighbor waves. You sit through family gatherings and nod at the right moments. But inside there is a room you keep returning to. A hospital room. A kitchen after an argument, a driveway where someone drove away, a phone you did not answer, a promise you broke, a face you did not understand until it was too late. You visit that room again and again, even though no one has asked you to. You hear the same words. You imagine a better response. You tell yourself that if you had been wiser, kinder, stronger, less afraid, less proud, more patient, then everything might have turned out differently. Maybe it would have. Maybe it would not have, but you have lived long enough to know that the mind is cruel when it uses today's wisdom to judge yesterday's frightened self. You know things now that you did not know then. You see consequences that were hidden then. You understand people differently now. Still, you stand before the past like a judge who never leaves the bench. I do not blame you. You have carried this longer than anyone knows. People may see your silence, but they do not see what it costs you. They do not see how you change the subject when someone praises you. They do not see how you refuse invitations because laughter feels undeserved. They do not see how every good thing awakens the thought, I should not be allowed to feel this. Some of you believe that being kind to yourself would dishonor the person you hurt. Some of you believe peace would mean you no longer care. Some of you fear that if you stop feeling guilty, you will become the kind of person who never learned anything, so you keep the wound open. You call it responsibility, but an open wound is not the same as a lesson. A scar remembers without continuing to bleed. Regret is not loyal. You may have misunderstood regret. Regret can be a teacher. It can show you where you acted from fear. It can reveal the cost of pride. It can make you more careful with another person's trust. It can lead you to apologize, repair what is repairable, and live with greater honesty. But regret becomes destructive when you turn it into a permanent identity. You did something wrong. That does not mean everything in you is wrong. You failed someone. That does not mean you must fail yourself for the rest of your life. You caused pain. That does not mean you must keep pain alive forever to prove you understand. Think of a forest after a fire. The fire leaves damage. It changes the ground. Some trees do not survive. No honest person pretends nothing happened. But the forest does not spend the next 50 years setting itself on fire each morning. The soil receives what remains. New growth begins slowly. The land carries the memory of heat, but it does not worship destruction. Accountability is tending the burned ground. Self-punishment is striking another match. One leads to change. The other repeats the original pain. You may call your suffering repentance. But what if real repentance is not endless suffering? What if it is becoming someone who no longer causes the same harm? What if the most respectful thing you can do is live differently? The man do ever used the good chair. There was a man named Frank who was 71 when his wife Evelyn died. They had been married 43 years. In the final year of her life, Evelyn became ill. Frank cared for her at home, but he was frightened and exhausted. Some nights he was gentle, other nights he was impatient. Once, during a difficult evening, he raised his voice when she asked for help getting out of bed. She became quiet. Frank apologized the next morning. Evelyn squeezed his hand and said she knew he was tired, but after she died, That one evening became larger than every year of love they had shared. Frank remembered the anger in his own voice. He forgot the meals he prepared. He forgot the medicine he organized. He forgot the thousands of ordinary kindnesses that made up their life. In the living room stood Evelyn's favorite chair. It was a soft green chair near the window. After her funeral, Frank refused to sit in it. He dusted it every week. He placed her folded shawl across the back, but he would not rest there. When his daughter asked why, he said, "That chair belonged to someone better than me." For 3 years, Frank sat on a hard wooden chair across the room. Every evening he stared at the green chair as though it were a witness. One winter afternoon, his old friend Walter came by. Walter found Frank asleep upright in the wooden chair, his neck bent painfully to one side. When Frank woke, Walter pointed toward the green chair. "Why do you keep punishing an old man for being tired one night?" Frank became angry. It was not just one night. Walter nodded. No, it was also 43 years. Frank looked away. Walter did not argue. He sat near the window and waited. After a long silence, Frank said, "If I forgive myself, it feels like I am saying it did not matter." Walter answered, "Forgiveness does not say it did not matter. It says it will not destroy what is still alive." That evening, after Walter left, Frank stood beside Evelyn's chair. He touched the worn fabric. He remembered her reading there, laughing there, sleeping there on Sunday afternoons. He remembered the night he lost his patience, but for the first time, he allowed the memory to stand beside all the others, not above them, beside them. Frank sat down. He cried until the room grew dark. The next morning he moved the shawl to his bedroom and drank coffee in the green chair. He did not feel forgiven all at once. For months he still heard the old accusation, but each time it came he answered, "I was not perfect. I loved her. I failed her sometimes. I loved her still." Both things were true. Healing began when he stopped choosing only the cruelest truth. The courtroom inside your mind. You may have built a courtroom inside yourself. In that courtroom, you are the accused. You are also the prosecutor. You are also the judge. And no evidence for your defense is ever allowed. You remember the one cruel sentence, but not the years of patience. You remember the person you disappointed, but not the people you helped. You remember the opportunity you missed, but not the storms you survived. You remember the day you walked away, but not the years you tried to make it work. This is not honest accountability. It is selective memory, shaped by shame.